What is up, my listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Keystone Chronicles podcast. And with us this week, we are joined by no other than my dad. And in this episode, we're going to talk about a couple opinions on state parks here in the Keystone State, some hunting, some fishing, and also a trip that he just came back from up in Maine hunting snowshoe hares. So if that tickles your fancy and you want to hear us bullshit this entire episode, stay tuned. I think you guys are really going to like this one. If you have any questions regarding this episode, feel free to reach out to me or my father here on the Instagram page or any other social platform that you may use. Thank you. Enjoy, and God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Keystone Chronicles podcast. Today is a special episode, and I am joined by my dad, Mark Pettenati. Dad, what's going on?
I'm not special. I'm just dad. That's all.
So this will be a good episode. We have a lot to talk about. And you just got back from a hunting trip.
I just got back from the great state of Maine. And we were up there hunting snowshoe hares.
Yeah. Something
that I just obsessed by. And everybody's always keen on doing the big game thing. Mm-hmm. Deer, bear, buffalo, water buffalo, whatever the hell you want to, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But let me tell you what, there is nothing in the world more challenging than going to hunt the snowshoe hare. That's just the bottom line. And we could talk about it for hours, but I just, you know me, I like to hunt everything. But there's something that calls me to go hunt these snowshoe hares.
Yeah.
And basically the only difference between a snowshoe hare and a cottontail, hares live on the ground, cottontails burrow. They're, just to give you an idea, a male snowshoe hare is called a buck and a female snowshoe hare is called a doe. So that just gives you an idea. The only thing the bucks are missing are maybe little antlers, which would be great. But anyhow.
How do you know they didn't shed them?
No, they didn't shed them. But all in all, it's I try to do it once a year if I can. It's a good cabin fever break. A lot of people don't know of snowshoe hare hunting. The only reason why I go to Maine is where they're more densely populated. I mean, you can go to the Adirondacks, New York. You can probably do New Hampshire, the northern part, and Vermont. But it seems if you get up above there, I don't know the parallels and all that crap. But if you seem to get above there, up mid-Maine to northern Maine, they seem to be more populated. Other than this year here, they're on their decline. And what they do is every 10 years they peak in population and then they start declining. And then it's a cycle. Well, this year here we hit the cycle where they were on the decline. And truthfully, after all the years I've been up there, I think this is probably the lowest they are. So now they're going to start climbing. The population wasn't there this year as it is usually, and but it's always a good time. It doesn't make a difference. It's I spent a week up there, and the place I go to, all you need to do is bring a gun and your gear. He provides the dogs means to get back into the woods, like snowmobiles or quads or whatever. Means his vehicles, and of course the meals are included, and your lodging, and it's just an all around just getaway, good trip if you're looking to do something like right before our trout season's coming in, and you get that cabin fever, and you got a good group of guys that just want to go hunt. I'll keep calling them hares, but if you just want to call them rabbits, that's fine. Just go up there and hunting rabbits. It's a great time, and of course, Marcus, you've been on a hunt with me up there too, and you know what a challenge it is too. It's
well,
not.
I think that I want to get into this conversation a little more, but we jumped right into it. So
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Let's go back real quick and let's do an introduction for you. Just introduce yourself real quick, because a lot of the listeners know who you are. They know a lot about you, but introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll jump right back into the challenges of the snowshoe hare hunting.
Oh well, I'm your dad, and I'm Mark Pettenati, and the people that do know me, I do a lot of hunting. Not always successful, but most of the time successful, and everybody knows that I'm not a trophy white-tailed deer hunter by no means, but I do have trophies on the wall, and it's the way I was raised, growing up with my dad was respectable buck comes through. Even back in the day there was no antler restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So when I grew up, pretty much, a spike filled the freezer,
Yeah.
and I'm all for antler restrictions. I don't want anybody to think that I'm not. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. But, it, put it this way, it was like this. As far as deer goes, if you don't shoot that buck, the guy down below is going to shoot it.
Right.
So anyhow, I was raised that way. And, of course, everybody matures through life, and especially in the hunting aspect. And I moved on to killing bigger bucks, but I'll go right back to my roots. That big buck was the first buck to come through.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple as that. I grew up mainly hunting small game, squirrel, rabbit, grouse, stuff like that. And I really didn't get introduced into the archery scene of whitetail until I was in my 30s. And the only reason going back to it, I was raised on small game, and then we had our rifle for deer.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, small game, we had beagles, hunted cottontails here. And so basically that was the start of it. And of course, just like I raised you boys, once you get that first taste of the hunt, and of course the kill and stuff like that, and you're putting food on the table, then you're hook, line, and sinker from there.
Yeah.
But no, that's just the way I was raised, and it was always squirrel, rabbit, and then you hunted deer with rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got introduced in archery and never realized actually what I was missing, especially during the rut.
Yeah.
That rut is just it's they think it makes the whitetail bucks crazy. Well, it makes the humans crazy too. So just let you know, it's
Right.
It's fascinating when you're in the woods during that time of season.
Yeah, it is. The things that you see are unbelievable.
Oh, it's
really.
very magical, very magical.
But it's funny that you bring up like the way it was in the past, because I think that I know the audience for this show is a younger audience. When I say younger, is like I'm gonna say maybe a couple years ahead of me and younger, just because that's the whole podcast scene.
I understand.
But it's wild how far Pennsylvania has come when in the whitetail hunting with the antler restrictions, and I mean you can attest to it. So I want you to touch base on that, just what you've seen from the antler restrictions in our state.
I hope to God they never get rid of it. And I do respect. I don't know all the laws of the antler restrictions. I know the youth can kill anything.
Mm-hmm.
And is it the retirees?
No, I don't believe so.
The veterans can though, right?
I think there is something set in place for them.
Right,
I know for the
right.
license,
which I think is great, because we got to introduce the young into, and as far as our veterans, me.
Right.
Hey, I love them. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say no more. Thank you for everything. I'll just touch one little thing on the veterans, because we do have some family that's in the what would you call it, Marcus? The armed forces community.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do not know what the families go through.
Right.
With the moving from base to base and all that kind of stuff. And I see it firsthand. And it's not only God bless you for your time on the battlefield, for what you sacrifice, but it's not only that, it's what your family had to sacrifice, no matter if it was wartime or not.
Mm-hmm.
And God bless you. And I think they should get everything under the sun. But getting back to the antler restrictions, I think it's the greatest thing, and I just fear for right now. I fear right now that the Pennsylvania Game Commission is going to change it back because they want more deer killed. And I hope they don't do it, because I've seen a big difference in the quality of animals that are being taken in the state of Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And letting them grow up, and listen, I'll bite my tongue right now because I've shot many of spikes, many of 4 points, but that's the way it was when I was growing up.
Right.
And it was a hard bone to bite when they first come out with the antler restriction. And after a couple of years of what I seen what was going on, I don't know how long it's been in now, because time flies by when you're older.
Oh, geez. I would say.
And
16. I don't know. 12, 13, 14 years.
I see the difference, big time difference. And like I said, being from the old school era, I would say, please, let's keep that. I mean, if you want more deer killed, give out more doe permits. And getting back to the doe permit, truthfully, my opinion of a doe permit should be like a buck permit. You get a buck permit, you can go anywhere in the state and kill a buck.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should be the same with the doe. And if they really want to get a good count on the
kills,
yes,
mm-hmm.
then here's what you do. Get a doe tag with your license, or however they want to do it. They're still going to make the money on it, which is, I'm all for that. And once you kill that animal, you should have to check it in at a check station somewhere, like a Dick's or a Dunham's or Phil's Hunting and Fishing or Evansburg Hunting and Fishing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're issued another doe tag once you checked it in.
Right.
And now that report card is 100% correct.
Yeah. So you're going to earn a doe.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people probably think, right, oh, geez, we kill too many deer and blah, blah, blah. Well, listen. It doesn't make a bit of difference. The Game Commission is going to find a way to get these deer killed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can bring in these guys, these sharpshooters, or whatever they want to do, and cause this and cause that kind of trouble and stuff like that. We all want to see more deer. I'm one of them. It's just that some areas are just so densely populated, and of course, we don't get to hunt in densely populated areas because sometimes they're posted and stuff like that, or privately owned, and but that would be a good way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio used to have that.
I remember that.
Yeah, where you had to check the animal in, and they even put a tag on the animal. You remember?
Yeah. Yep.
For transportation.
Little metal tag.
And I thought it was a great thing. That Pennsylvania should have adopted, but hey, every state's different, But I hope that they do not left this antler restriction because of this chronic waste disease, and you know how I feel about chronic waste disease. We're not going to do a segment on chronic waste disease.
Mm-hmm.
It's all opinionated as far as I'm concerned. I just think that it's overrated. I've hunted a lot, and you know how much time I spend in the woods. I've yet to see a deer that is actually sick with chronic waste, and I ain't saying it's out there. It's like COVID. It's out there. It doesn't make a bit of difference. It's out there. I just think it's nature's way of taking care of its own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just my personal opinion. You hear a lot of talk and rumors, and I don't want to get into all that stuff because you can believe whatever you want to believe. They're worried about the elk herd getting it and stuff like that. Well, it's already known that CWD lives in the ground, and eventually the elk are going to get it too. It's just, I know they're trying to prevent it, and I'm okay with that, but I think they push that stuff a little bit too far. But I'm not on this podcast to diss on our Game Commission because we do have to have protections for this natural resource that we have.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like that it's I don't think it's being heard. I don't think the people's voices are being heard by the game commission. They just do what they want to do when they want to do it.
Right.
And that's and I have nothing against them. I really, like I said, listen. I wouldn't want to be a game warden.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that job. I'm sure you don't have many friends if you're a game warden. And it's not because everybody's an outlaw. Not everybody's an outlaw. What it is not everybody agrees with what you are doing.
Right.
Okay, it's simple as that. And I would not want to have that job. God bless some guys that do have that job. Sometimes I just think that they have too much power and control.
Yeah.
And that's all, But I don't know how the hell we went from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
Where did this all start from?
It's easy to get off track.
It is. It's easy to get off track. Well, getting back to everything, we were on small game, am I correct?
Yeah, so before we even get back into the small game hunting, let's go down the road of... So before you started archery hunting in your 30s.
Yes.
Okay. Now, before that, archery hunting was not what it is today.
Well, it was, but to the blind people, it wasn't. We didn't know that much about the archery. And, of course, the equipment that we had at that time wasn't what we have now. I'm not talking crossbows. I'm just talking compounds in general.
Right.
And, it started off with the recurve. The recurve was a big thing when I was growing up. And then I think it was, I don't want to say Browning was the first one out with it, but I have an original Browning compound bow that's basically, it's all wood. Mm-hmm. It's basically a recurve with a pulley wheel system on it and everything like that. That's when everything got to be a little bit more, how can I say? I got to watch what I say. I don't want to say a longbow or a recurve is unethical. I don't want to do that. But the compound made it more, I don't even know the word I'm looking for. Not ethical, but more precisioned. Mm-hmm. Precisioned, I should say. Precision.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the men and women that are using primitive means like a recurve and a longbow, they're putting hours and hours and hours.
And you know what, Marcus? It all boils down to the bottom line. It doesn't make a difference. Even if you're throwing a knife at an animal or even an axe, it's all shot placement.
Right.
We all make mistakes and don't make that shot placement. It doesn't matter what you're using. You got to practice that shot placement. Mm-hmm. Or practice period with the weapon that you're going to use.
Right.
And once you perfect it, then you're as good as gold. I mean, it's simple as that. But, even sometimes in the heat of the moment, you could be perfected on that instrument that you're using or weapon or whatever you want to call it, and you still make a mistake.
Right. Well, you didn't see that twig at twilight.
Right.
You didn't. Yeah, lots can happen.
Well, I mean, we always hear it that, the archers wound these deer and we never get them. Mm-hmm. Well, how many deer are wounded by rifles?
I'm sure
and not gun. There's a balance there, and everybody's got to look at it like that. But, like I said, everything's opinionated. That's why we do podcasts.
Exactly.
Not everybody's going to agree with what Mark Pettenati's saying, but they might agree with what Johnny Bluff over here that you interview next week has to say. You see what I'm saying? It's all opinionated, but
well, that's the beauty of being able to talk about all this stuff.
Right. And even the ones that don't spend a lot of time in the woods don't have to spend the time in the woods if they're doing their homework at home.
Right.
With the weapon of their choice that they're going to use. I mean, that goes a long way because as well as I do, it's 90% luck to get the opportunity. And then it's 10% skill.
Right.
To make the shot.
Yeah.
That's, so.
Yeah, there's you have to be in the right spot at the right time.
Well, that too, but homework helps.
You
have to put yourself in that opportunity.
You're going to you could take a guess and get lucky.
Right.
But if you're doing it year in and year out,
right,
like some people are doing,
right.
You are
right. And you
have it down to a science.
I've had so many people ask me, why are you so successful at what you do? And it's basically they say you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you got to do homework too. I mean, that plays a part. And of course, time.
That's number one.
You got to have time to put in the woods. And don't get me wrong, some people go out for 2 hours. They kill a buck, and I'm not saying a big one or a little one. Don't make a bit of difference. The trophy's in the eye of the beholder. And that's great because it's happened to me and it's happened to you. It's like, holy crap, my season's over. I'm tagged out.
Yep.
I was only in the woods 2 hours.
It's bittersweet.
Yes, it is a bittersweet thing. And then of course we're lucky enough, fortunate enough that we can go to other states, which makes it even nicer. And not everybody is fortunate enough, but what I want to tell to the people that aren't fortunate enough is you can make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
If it's financial, plan a year in advance.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Right.
Get out. And that's where I go back into the hare hunt thing. I'm very fortunate that I can go to Maine every year and do that. Mm-hmm. But for somebody that's listening to this podcast and be like, damn, that would be great to go do.
Right.
Listen, take a year.
Right.
Put the money away. Make it your goal that you want to go the next year, and you want to go do that. Just give it a try. Give it a taste. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're a cottontail hunter. I mean, if you're a cottontail hunter, you go up there and hunt hares. It's kind of the same, except these rabbits aren't running little circles. They're running big circles.
Yeah.
And it's pretty neat. It really is. It's.
Yeah. Sometimes by the time the dog turns them, you can't even hear the dog.
You're right.
Back.
You're right. They're 700-800 yards away.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why the guides up there, they use GPS or satellite or whatever you want to call it to watch the dogs. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can actually see when that dog's turning that rabbit and they're bringing it back. And
it's real similar to running coyotes in that sense.
Yeah, it's a bigger animal. Well, a deer will do a circle too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, but how far it's going to run before it comes back around.
Well, it depends on how thick it is too.
Well, that too. But anyhow.
But when you were growing up, the small game hunting. I mean, and I bring this up in the podcast all the time. It's just not the same.
Well,
there's guys that hunt small game, and we know them. Most of the time it's the second season, and the reason is because the deer hunting's going on in the first part of the season. Mm-hmm. But, I have suggested and brought this up, and I don't know that I've said this to you before, but they don't want to have the legislative act does not want us to have Sunday hunting right now, right? And I think it's coming in due time. I think it is. But in the meanwhile, why can't we hunt small game on Sunday?
Well, I got mixed emotions about Sunday hunting. It has nothing to do with church. It has nothing to do with the day of rest and whole 9 yards like that. But the older you get, I know you're talking to a younger crowd. The older you get, it's like to have that Sunday off where it's like when nobody else is in the woods and I'm not allowed to go into the woods, and it's like, yeah, let's rest. When I was younger, I'd be like, son of a bitch, there's a frost on the ground. This is like the perfect freaking morning. We've been waiting for it and we can't go in the woods. You see what I'm saying? So, that's my mixed emotion over it. But, we live in a free country and the animals don't know if it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Right.
And ain't it funny? We're allowed to fish on a Sunday.
Right.
But you're not allowed to hunt on a Sunday. So, yeah, I foresee it coming. I mean, it's, Ohio's had it for ever since I've known. Mm-hmm. Maine don't have it. You're not allowed to hunt in Maine on Sundays. I don't think Indiana. We were in Indiana. You allowed to hunt on Sundays?
Oh, yeah.
Are you? I can't remember.
Yeah, and that's pretty.
So some states have it, some states don't. But for some people, Sunday might be that day. Nobody's in the woods. I'm going to go check my game cameras. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go check for sign. I'm going to do some scouting. Which is a good thing too. But if there is Sunday hunting, then you just adapt like. Mm-hmm. Anything else,
Right.
It's you don't have that day of break. You don't have hey, you want to go check your game cameras? Take the worst, stormiest day of the season, it's Sunday, if there's Sunday on, and go out and do it then, because you know that the game ain't going to be moving so much,
Mm-hmm.
and there ain't going to be much activity in the woods. There ain't
Right.
going to be people. So I got mixed emotions about it. I mean, there are Sundays I wish I was in the woods, and there's Sundays that I'm glad I had off. So
Right.
it's but yeah, it's going to come. Eventually, it's going to come. It ain't going to be up to your legislators. It's going to be up to your game commission.
No, you're wrong.
Well, I don't believe that.
Okay.
But anyhow, we're not going to even get into that. That's just my personal opinion. They put it this way: your game commission will have the last say in whether there's Sunday hunting or not.
Yeah, they will, but
No matter if the legislators say they want it or not, they'll have the last say in it. And you know how I feel about that. Here, I'll put it this way. I want your listeners to know this. Every other state that I hunt, my license go through the DCNR of that state.
Mm-hmm.
Pennsylvania is one of the only states that I hunt that goes through the Pennsylvania Game Commission.
Mm-hmm.
There is no governing body above them. They know it. We know it. They won't admit it. But that's the bottom line. You can call all your legislators and bitch about everything, but the bottom line is it's got to go through the Game Commission's Board of Trustees or whatever they call themselves in order to get through. And if I'm wrong, let people call you, text you, say I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. I've been wrong about a lot of things, but it's just until the DCNR has control of our Fish and Game Commission, your legislators ain't got nothing to say. So that's just my personal opinion. If I'm right, I'm right. You can fact check me. Everybody fact checks everybody now. So, but that's just where I am with that. And like I said, I have nothing against the Game Commission or Fish Commission. I would not want to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
Right.
Period. Simple as that. You got to have somebody there to protect it. But sometimes I feel they have too much power. That's all. But anyhow, why are we getting off track here? We were talking about small game, for Christ's sakes.
Well, yeah, we don't want to get off track again, but we were talking about the snowshoe hare hunting, so we'll go back to that. And in snowshoe hare hunting, we were talking about the difficulties and the things you run into.
Well, take 100,000 of acres of nothing but bush, put a couple beagles in there, and get them on a hare, and then you have to go in and get it.
Yeah, plus you might have to wear snowshoes. And
Well, I try not to, and I come back with swollen feet, and my ankles are swollen. And the snow was not that deep. If you hit a deep spot, it only went up to your knee.
Right.
I've been in there where you hit a deep spot, and it went up to your groin.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't like to wear them. Open woods, stuff like that, nothing to it. I mean, it's like a walk in the park.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get into that tight, thick hemlocks, I don't know if they're hemlocks or pine trees. I just call them pine trees because I don't know exactly. Cedars, they have cedars up there. There ain't no way you're doing foot over foot with a pair of snowshoes on. There ain't no way in the world. And I try not to wear them, and then I end up suffering when I get back. But it's, the guide keeps telling me, come up in December. He wants me to come in December. He says, there's not that much snow, and the hares are just starting to turn white, and there's a lot of bare ground. You can see them a little bit better. But March, we talk about March Madness, right? Basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, March Madness. You want March Madness? Go snowshoe hare hunting in March when they're mating.
Mm-hmm.
That's March Madness. That's March Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. Like you said, we were up there one year, and one of the guys we were hunting with actually wounded one, and he was tracking it, like a blood trail. And these rabbits their hairs are much tougher than a cottontail, where one BB's not going to go and kill him. And we're in the snow, and he was tracking this thing, and wouldn't you know it, he come up on a freaking bear den.
Mm-hmm.
And we backed out of there, and we were able to call the local game wardens, and they came in, and
The biologist.
They asked if we wanted to hang out, and lo and behold, we got to help trank a bear, and She had 3 cubs. Well, 3 or 4 was she had.
She had 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were able to go in and hold them and check them out, and it was freaking awesome. And actually, I think that was the next day or the day after that.
Wasn't that an experience of a lifetime?
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
That was an experience of a lifetime. And the kicker was, why they rolled in so fast, the biologist was, it was a bear that was never tagged.
Mm-hmm.
The sow was never tagged. And as soon as our guide called it in, which he's good friends with the game commission, and remind me when we're on this, I do want to mention the guide and everything, and and then also want to mention a little bit what happened with the game wardens and me up there. Just remind me, and that's why they came in so fast, and they rolled in and they tranquilized her, and we got the she was sleeping, we got to pet her and hold her cubs. And what they'll do is when they're done doing their tests, they pull tooth and all that, that, Marcus. See how old she is, and what they'll do is they'll wipe the cubs down with pine oil to get rid of the human scent, and they'll put the cubs back with the mother, and you know this, and they will go back and check, because once the mother's collar, they can track her. When she gets up and starts moving, they'll go back and check the den. If the cubs are still there, she abandoned them, then they will take the cubs. They'll be put in an orphanage and then let out in the wild. So the cubs are never harmed in all this. So it was, it was experience of a lifetime, bud. I mean, you go to Maine and that happens. It's, it's crazy. It's, but you're right on that.
Yeah, unbelievable experience. And, Pennsylvania does have something set in place, and you need to contact the Game Commission and get involved with the biology.
I think there's a waiting list to go.
And I was just going to say.
Yeah, there's a waiting list to go do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people that were able to do that. And, yeah, I mean, if that's something that you're interested in doing, get a hold of the Pennsylvania Game Commission and get on their list. And
yes,
if you're lucky enough, you will get the call and you'll get to go out and do it. And it's an unbelievable experience.
Yes, now ours happened in Maine, which was nice too.
Which was unplanned.
And getting back to it, I'm sure everybody watches Northwoods Lodge, and that's why I said to remind me about the game ward. So anyhow, we're our guides. And I don't know if there's a warden on there. His last name is Parker, and he's on there a good bit. And we're up there. It was when the COVID just rolled in. That was that March when they shut everything down back here in PA. And hear a knock on the door at the lodge, and I open the door, and here it's Warden Parker. And we got the bull crap with them, and got some pictures with them and stuff like that. And just some of the neat things that go on. I mean, I just it's always, it doesn't matter. Like a lot of people, maybe they can't go out of state, but they go to camp in PA, and they'll relate to me. It's always a good time.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you're at. You're out in the wilderness. You're having a good time. But just I just it's always a good time.
Yeah. Eating good and.
Oh yeah, always good food, and it's no matter if your brother's cooking or your dad or one of the relatives or you're at a lodge somewhere, and I've never had a bad experience yet, no matter where I've went. So I a lot of the hunting trips we go on are just out of the whim. We just like the first trip I went up to Maine with this guide. I've been up further north, but this guide here, I just out of the blue, I called him and booked a 3-day hare hunt. And when I got to his place and we were done with everything for that 3 days, it was like we had a freaking home run. And I've been going back up there for the last 10, 12 years.
Yep.
So it's sometimes divine intervention does help.
Yeah. That's a great guide and a great place to be.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you mind if I mention who it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anybody's interested in going on a hare hunt or even a bear hunt, he does do deer. He's not a big deer guide. Moose, if you draw a tag. canoeing, kayak, whatever. I don't know what all he does. It's Maine Outfitters. They are located in LaGrange, Maine, and the guide's name is Troy White, and just a class act. Just a class act place to go. Just down to earth, nothing fancy. Just it's your basic,
It's a really good, it could be for anybody, but really, if you're cool with just nice, chill, relaxed, and a good guide.
homey.
Yeah, homie. That's a good
Homie's
way
the word for it. Yeah, homies.
Yeah.
You're not going to get steak and lobster or shrimp cocktail or nothing like that, but you're going to get some of the best meals you ever had. Barbecued ribs, chicken, stuff like that. Shepherd's pie. One night they did do spaghetti. Just stuff like that. Just down to earth. Soul food. Is that the word for it?
Mm-hmm.
Soul food. Just, and the lodge that we stay in is just, you have your own kitchen. We usually do our own breakfasts. They do pack your lunch for your hunt that day, and then they do feed you to supper. And it's very affordable. Just give Troy a call. He'll give you a quote. And, you got running water, of course. You have a kitchen and all that. And then you have 2 bedrooms that have 4 bunks in each bedroom. And there's cable TV. Not the best of cable, but if you want to watch TV, who the hell watches TV when you're camping? Some people do, but, they do have the Western Channel. What is it?
Oh yeah, I don't even know the name of it.
Yeah, so if you like Gunsmoke and stuff like that, that channel's on there and stuff like that. But all around, good people. Above and beyond the call of they want you to be successful one way or another. And just all around, it's all good. I mean, if anybody goes up to this place I just mentioned and has a bad time, then they're their problem. Not the people up there. They are the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So, but no, it's a good time, and you've been up there quite a few times. Your brother killed a bear up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a place I'd take anybody or invite anybody to go.
Right.
I wouldn't be scared that somebody would call me and say that was the worst place I was ever at, because it ain't going to happen.
Right.
It ain't going to happen. And what I try to tell everybody, I've been to North Carolina through guide services. I've been to Alabama through guide services. I've been to Michigan. And the worst people you hate to see are the ones that think they're going to pay money and it's a guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's a hunt.
Right.
It's a hunt. There is no guarantee. And we see people like that. I was just in North Carolina. I don't know the guy's name. I really don't care. He wanted his money back. Because he thought he was guaranteed to kill a white-tailed deer.
Mm-hmm.
But there is no guarantees.
Right.
And if your listeners, and you say a lot of them are young,
Mm-hmm.
if you think you're going to invest $500, $1,000, $10,000, $5,000 on a hunt, and you think you're going to be guaranteed, don't waste your money. Don't waste your money. Don't do it. There is no. You want guaranteed? Call the local guy who's got a bunch of deer in a pen and go shoot one.
Mm-hmm.
Give him the $5,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you're going on a fair chase game hunt, no. Don't waste your time. And I ain't out to piss people off. You know that.
Right.
And it's.
Well, you got to hunt. What have you been to North Carolina?
North Carolina,
Alabama,
Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland,
Maine,
and Maine to hunt. Yeah. And like I said, I've been across the country, but not hunting. And but those are the states I've hunted, and in 2 years I'm going to Montana. So, and like I said, the trip is an expensive trip to go to Montana.
mm-hmm.
but I've got 2 years to save the money for it. That's why I try to tell everybody.
Right.
You hear me talking and everybody says, well, you have the money, or Joe over here goes everywhere because he has the money. Why don't you ask Joe how long in advance did he plan that trip?
Right.
And actually was disciplined enough to put that money away for that trip.
Right.
Sometimes, some people do have money and can just go anytime they want to. Well, I'm not one of them guys.
Right.
I put my money away and then I plan my trips accordingly, and that's it. And it's nice to be able to do that. Especially when you go with a good group of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just family that I have that goes, but it's a good group of friends that we go together. Everybody pitches in for the gas when you're on the road. If you got to stop and get a lunch somewhere, either one guy buys everybody lunch or everybody just pitches in. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's that's how you do things. That's how you do things. And and like I said, even if it's out of your reach of money wise and you really, really want to do it, set a goal, put the money away.
Mm-hmm.
Set a goal, put the money away, because it's we're only here so long on the earth, and I never let money deter me from going, because when I'm laying in a casket, I ain't taking that money with me.
Yeah, but you want buried with your deer heads.
No. No, I got 2 boys that will take my deer heads. They'll be hanging in their houses. So, but anyhow, it's a trip through time, and I'm fortunate to be able to go, but everybody's fortunate to go if you want to be disciplined.
Yeah. Right.
Simple as that. And always find a good group of guys.
No, you're right. I mean, some guys will drive around a $60,000 pickup and be mad that they can't go on a Montana elk
but they
hunt.
can.
Right.
They can. You just got to say, okay, I can't go next year, but I'll be able to go in 3 years because I can be able to save that money. See what I'm saying? You can do it if you want to be disciplined. And yes, we all have bills to pay. I got bills, you got bills, everybody. And when you can't go, you just say you can't go. But if you're planning something in advance, you can go.
Yeah.
You can afford to go. Yeah. It's on what you want. That's all. But it's I was very fortunate, but it was my decision to go do and be able to do what I did. These other states and stuff like that, and it just, I was said one time to somebody, why the hell would you want to travel 11 and a half hours to go kill a rabbit? And I just looked at him and said, well, maybe because I can go do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't being ignorant. It's just I can go do it.
Right.
It's something that I want to do. But, it's, now that guy there that said that to me may spend $5,000 and go out and shoot a whitetail. And I might say to him, well, I can shoot a whitetail up here on my property. Why do I want to spend $5,000 to go shoot a whitetail? But I do it anyhow. I never spend $5,000 yet. The trip to Montana is going to be expensive. But, I went to Alabama to shoot a whitetail deer.
Right.
I could shoot one up here, or I could shoot one down the street from where I live. But it's just the idea,
It's all experience.
And it's and there's a lot of camaraderie involved too.
That's
a lot of bonding, and you're with your friends, no matter if they're female or male, or don't make a difference. You turn a hunting trip into like a vacation. You see what I'm saying? It's not. I didn't kill on all my trips.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take the animal, or but it's like going to a casino. How can I say that? Never go to a casino and expect to win.
Right.
You go down there and you enjoy your money for a little bit and have a good time.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. And when it comes to, you were talking about camaraderie, but in your life, have you ever experienced anything comparable? I want to say comparable at the level of the camaraderie that hunting brings outside of hunting or fishing?
Well, I mean, you have your family functions,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're with a group of guys that are on the same path with you,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of like all understand that, hey, this is a hunt, this ain't a give me. Yeah, there's you just bull crap, and it's like you leave the rest of the world behind.
Right.
And it's just it's.
But why does it feel like, when you're in a group of guys, women, whatever it is, and you go out and you kill a deer, and you all went on that hunt together.
Everybody celebrates.
We celebrate the kill together.
We're sure, and that's
fishing doesn't matter.
That's what I'm going back to say. You don't want to be with that one guy that ain't like that, because that could ruin a whole trip. And we call them campers cramps, is what we call them. And I'm very fortunate that I have a group of guys that aren't like that. Everybody's happy when somebody, it doesn't matter who it is. Hey, you got one? Oh, great! This is awesome. It's a hunt. Try to tell people that all the time. It's a hunt. It's not a give me. You're going to spend money. You might not even see an animal. It's as simple as that.
Well, but if it was easy, why the hell would we want to do it?
Listen. I went on 2 bear hunts over bait and never seen a bear. Right. 2 bear hunts. You know what that tells me? I ain't meant to kill a bear. It's simple as that.
Right.
Now weather played factors in it and stuff like that. I understand that. But I'm just to the point where the last thing I want to go do anymore is a bear hunt.
Yeah.
Because number one, am I gung ho about? We eat our bear.
Right.
And if somebody come up to me gung ho and say, "Hey, let's go on a bear hunt," I'd probably say, I really done it. I've done it. And I had a good time. Was I disappointed I didn't kill? No. You know why? Because there's a group of guys that were at the camps. We just had a good time, and like I said, going back to it, it's a hunt. And the same thing getting back to the bear over bait. If you think that you're guaranteed that you're going to kill this animal because it's over bait, you better think again before you decide to book the trip.
Right.
Now if it's about just getting away and you're getting the opportunity and you're going to have a good time and camaraderie and the whole 9 yards, by all means, go. But if you think, like going to the casino, that you think that you're actually going to win and you're just going to keep dumping more money into a machine or onto a table thinking you're going to win and you don't, that's pretty disappointing, ain't it? You can't be like that. It's hunting. It is hunting. It is not a give me. You want to give me? Call somebody who's got a cage or a pen and say, hey, I want to shoot this buffalo. You'll have the buffalo brought in. It'll be put in there, and you can go shoot the damn thing. That's a give me. That's a give me. But
I do want to move into another thing because you get to do a lot of camping and traveling around a lot of state parks. So in your experience as a Pennsylvania, I want you to give me 5 of your favorite state parks to go to right now. And they don't have to be in any order.
Well, listen, I grew up camping at Greenwood Furnace. I grew up camping down there, and I loved it down there. The trout fishing was great. Didn't do any hunting down there, which, I know a lot of guys that have camps down there. Everything we did was out of campers. Recently, in the past 5 to 10 years, I would have to, Greenwood Furnace is on that list. I would have to say Parker Dam is probably my number 1. Now, I like to run the state forest roads.
Right.
And go over looks and sightseeing and stuff like that when we're camping. Of course, trout fishing too. But, you can't trout fish all day, so you need something to do.
Right.
First time I was ever at Black Shannon, I liked it. It would have to rate up there. Trout fishing, not so much. We had to travel into Phillipsburg to fish Cold Springs Dam for trout. But as far as the park itself, very beautiful. A lot of state forest roads to run, which that's what I like to do. I like getting a truck, me and your mother, and and we'll just drive all over the place, you know. Jesus, Marcus, I've been to a lot of them. Speaking of the state parks, I'll just throw this in. A lot of private campgrounds out there, I understand, but the state parks offer a lot. I mean, they're beautiful, they're well kept, and if you don't have a camper, look at their cabins. They have got beautiful, up-to-date, rustic cabins that have running water. They got a refrigerator, stove. Cooser State Park is rating right up there. I love Cooser State Park for their cabins, and of course the fishing's great. There's a lot of stocked creeks, dams, Laurel Hills there. If you're into the trout fishing, if you're not, Cooser and Laurel Hill offer a lot. They both got cabins, and they're like almost adjoining.
Right.
And we love it down there. And like I said, I will take nothing away from Huntington County. Greenwood Furnace is awesome. I wish Whipple's had cabins. We used to stay at the Schaefer's Creek Environmental Center, which is Penn State's campus's dam, which would be on the stocking list, Lake Perez.
Lake Perez, yep.
And they used to have cabins, but they've got out of reach. I think they weeded us guys out to cater to
blue and white weekends, such.
the college scene.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yeah, which is that's their business, ain't mine. You know.
Yeah, they're gonna make some money. Heck
Well,
yeah.
they did. And the prices are just they're out of range.
Yeah, it is a lot.
And state parks, geez, I mean the jumpings.
Well, I mean,
Now, not everybody just fishes trout. I mean, they fish bass and stuff like that. Now, Glendale or Prince Glitzen, I should say. I'm okay with Prince Glitzen. I don't camp there because it's too crowded. You know, when you go camping, you want a little bit of serenity. A little bit of openness. Stuff like that. And I stay away from it. But as far as that lake goes, it's loaded with bass and walleye and is it muskie? I don't think there's pike in there.
I think
it's
that
muskie.
a lot of the local guys go up to Kerwinsville Dam for the muskie.
I've been up around there, but I haven't.
Crappie is good in Glendale.
Yeah, crappie, stuff like that. The warm water fish, I should say. But I'm a cold water fisherman, and of course, I had a camp up in close to Galton, and we used to fish Lyman and all that stuff, and
Piney Creek and.
Pine Creek, and which is great fishing. It is too.
First Fork.
I will say this: since they've stocked less fish in the past couple of years, it's not as great as what it used to be. But there we go again. That's your fish commission. It has nothing to do with Mark Pettenati, but they stock a lot less fish. They don't put in what they used to, and everybody else knows it too. But nothing's going to ever be done about it. So there's no sense in bitching about it.
Yeah.
Now if you get up around there, if you're a wild trout fisherman like you are,
right? It's great.
Every creek that comes off them mountains is good. Is loaded with native.
Yeah, native wild trout.
But other than that, as getting back to the state parks, I would have to say I've been to many of them. Depending on what you want to do, hiking, boating, whatever you're into, they all offer all that. Very well kept. I never ran into any problem with a dirty shower house or a dirty bathroom.
Yeah, they do a wonderful job.
Well, they do. Now, I don't know what happened over to COVID because of, this and that, as far as, but I've never had a bad experience in any of the Pennsylvania state parks. I think they do a great job, and it's very, very affordable.
Yeah.
Very affordable.
Well, Pennsylvania's, we got to rank in the top.
Well, we do because doesn't Pennsylvania own the most public lands or that they're than any other state, and one that I think everybody needs to go see, and it has nothing to do with fishing or hunting, is Watkins Glen, or is that the one in New York?
That's in New York.
What's the other one? Ricketts Glen.
Ricketts. Okay.
Ricketts Glen. If you want to see waterfalls, just coming from just regular streams, and I'm not talking just your trickle down kind of waterfall. I'm talking I think that one's 100 feet high.
Yeah, it's impressive.
You know, it's a beautiful loop to walk, and you know, you pack a lunch, and you just put on hiking boots and a hiking stick, and it just beautiful, beautiful, totally beautiful. Anybody who wants to go see a great state park, go see that one. You know what I mean? It has it. You can fish if you want,
Right.
you know, but if you just, you know, looking for a getaway or a vacation or even a 4-day weekend, that's really, really, really nice. Really nice. But yeah, I've been to a lot of state parks.
Yeah, well, like I said, you know, the show is to kind of show off a lot of the things that Pennsylvania has, and I know that that's one thing that we can flex our muscles on. And
Oh, we can. And not only that, if you really, you know, I like to travel abroad, but I've also looked into what Pennsylvania has to offer. And I'm not just saying state parks, but there is a lot. Me and your mother just went up to, oh my God, Bigler Rocks. You know, just a drive right up the road up here. A lot of people don't know about Bigler Rocks. It is pretty neat to see. You know, just take a Saturday or Sunday, say, let's go see Bigler's Rocks. It's neat. It's really, really, really neat. And just, me and your mother's always been on the thing of, let's go see what God gave us. You know, these tourist traps where you spend a lot of money and you bring home a ton of souvenirs and nobody even freaking wants. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Make it what God gave us. And trust me, my trip out west, we pretty much did that other than Mount Rushmore, which was man-made, but you had to pay to get in, which is fine. I mean, you have to see Mount Rushmore if you're going in South Dakota. And I paid to see Dallas, Texas Stadium, or AT&T Stadium, and that was pretty much it. And you know, everything else was the Grand Canyon, the Badlands. I'll just go on and on and on with what God has given us to see. And as long as you stay away from the tourist traps, it's very affordable. And it's whatever. But yeah, Pennsylvania has a lot more to offer than just the state parks.
Yeah.
I mean, there are waterfalls all over the state that you can go see, and some of them are on a back road that goes to nowhere. And it's, you know, I've found these waterfalls through social media and stuff like that.
Right.
And just some of the beautiful things. Coles Run Falls. It's down by Laurel Hill Lake. It's pretty neat to go see. Pretty neat to see. Just out of the blue, there's this waterfall, and it's called Coles Run Falls. Something people can go check out too. I mean, you know, like I said, me and your mother's been all over the place, but I just don't pull up a map and go. You know, I look at maps and then say, hey, we're going to go here in a couple weeks. But anyhow.
Well, I think we covered a lot of topics for tonight.
Yeah, I think I'm done too. But like I said, it's if you're looking for a cabin fever thing, March is a great time to go for snowshoe hares. Now, like I said, some people can wear snowshoes. I can't. I trudge through the snow as best I can. But it's a challenging hunt. But like I said, if you go to Mid-Maine Outfitters, it's more than a hunt. It's you know, it's just a laid back, chill out kind of week. Just one more getting back to things. You get up in the morning, you make breakfast. He'll tell you 9:30 we're leaving. Probably don't leave till 10:30. That's we call Troy time. I know if he listens to this, he's gonna kick my ass. But anyhow, and so you leave there and you get out there. You probably 5-10 mile trip with the snowmobiles back into the bush somewhere, and then you get out and you hunt. And you hunt till about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. You pack up, you come back out, come back, settle down, have a refreshment of your choice, and then you go eat the greatest meal you ever had. I mean, you just you know, and not only that, his bear guiding is the top notch.
Right.
You know, I mean, the man goes above and beyond the call.
Yeah.
And,
he does a great job.
Yeah, he does. So, but if anybody's interested in a snowshoe hare hunt, I'd give him a call. And
one thing that I would really recommend is that you know how to read a compass if you're going to go up there.
Well, anymore, our cell phones,
Yeah.
an iPhone has maps on it. You're good with that. You at least get 1 to 2 bars out in the bush, and closer to the towns than that, you'll get full service.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got, what's it called? Onyx?
Mm-hmm.
Onyx maps. You ain't going to get lost. And trust me, the guide, Troy, will not let you get lost.
Right.
I mean, you're always right off of a road or a snowmobile trail or something like that, and all you got to do is mark out location, and you go into the bush and you try to kill these hares, and you can always work your way right back.
Right. I'm just saying you got to be prepared in the bush.
Well, I know that, but the days of the compass are coming to an end with modern technology.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not saying there ain't places out there that you don't need one.
Right.
But everywhere he takes you,
Yeah.
you've got communication.
Well, I'd just like to believe that the woodsmanship is still alive sometimes.
Well, it is. Well, I said it's not everywhere. You know that. There's places you're not going to get service out there, but no, everybody should learn how to read a compass. I mean, it's a good thing to know, and you have that in your back pocket. It's like a trade,
Yep.
You learn a trade. Okay, you're young, you learn a trade. Say you get an office job down somewhere, and you have that office job for 20 years. All of a sudden, you get laid off. What can you fall back on?
Right.
You can fall back on your trade.
Yep.
Because you know it. It's the same thing. So anyhow, yes, it's been long enough. I've talked my head off. I could talk all night, to tell you the truth.
Well, yeah, we're gonna catch back up with you probably before hunting season, and we'll see what the plan is there going into hunting season. And
well, trout season's coming. It starts. We're going on a bird hunt Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go kill some pheasants Saturday.
Yeah, yep, we are.
That's another thing too. I want to give a shout out to TNT Hunting Grounds.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to book a good priced pheasant hunt, and trust me, it is a blast, and it's very affordable. TNT Hunting. They're in Smock, Smock, Pennsylvania. They top notch, take care of you. You do a continental and a field, and they feed you lunch and everything. And I think it's around $200, $220.
Yeah, it's cheap.
But you need a group of 10 shooters.
Right.
Right. That's the thing. So you got to have a group of 10, which would be 100 birds.
Yeah.
And it's between $200, $220 a shooter, and everybody's guaranteed 10 birds at the end of, no matter how many you shoot. Everybody, depends if they're blowed up too. Some people like using big freaking shells,
right,
and then blow these birds up. But they distribute the birds equally, and everybody goes home with meat.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to beat.
You ain't gonna beat it.
Right.
You ain't gonna beat it. So, anyhow, to give a shout out to them, and we're going Saturday, and we'll talk about it after.
Yeah, they'll get to hear about it after. So if you guys have any questions for me or for my dad, don't be afraid to give me a questionnaire on a DM or anything that's on in the social media. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. You feel good?
Do I feel good?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go home.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for another episode of the Keystone Chronicles podcast. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this week's episode as much as I did. I'm very blessed to be able to have my dad come through the studio, sit down and talk hunting and fishing, and also be able to live that with him outside of the studio. Please go over to Apple Podcast or Spotify, leave a 5-star rating, a comment, and the biggest thing, subscribe. Really helps out the show, guys, and I really appreciate all the love coming in and all the comments and all the love coming in and all the messages. Please keep tuning in. I'll keep bringing you all the information that I can for your entertainment and your joy. See you soon.